International break is, well, nearly over. Welcome back to Premier League predictions round 8. Mikey is here. Mikey, not terribly impressive last time from either of us, really. I think I'm mirroring Ipswich Town's on-field performance per week with my predictions performance. I got 3, which is poor. Let me know how you did in the comments. I bet no one got less than 3. You got 6 outcomes, nothing bang on. So you have gone 5-2 up, and you are 10 ahead, 59 to 49 on the aggregate. Welcome.
Thank you, Ben. Yeah, I think that's what they say champions do, isn't it? They win without playing particularly well. So that's what I'll cling to from match week 7.
There you go. Get involved in the comments. As I say, if you got less than 3, I'd be very surprised. But let us know how you do. If we get any big ones, Mikey, any double figures, let us know, and we'll pin it up in the comments and celebrate your greatness amongst our mediocrity. But to be fair to Mike, he got like 14, 15 the week before. So not that mediocre. As I say, get involved in the comments. You can copy and paste all the fixtures from the description down there to play along. Give yourself 1 point for a correct outcome. I only got 3. Give yourself 3 points for a correct scoreline. If you get the correct scoreline and your prediction has 5 or more goals, give yourself a bonus point, so you get 4 for each of those. So here we go then, Mikey. Premier League round 8. A Michael Carrick derby. I'll go with Tottenham versus West Ham. Freddie Canute, Jermaine Defoe. There's loads.
Yeah, there's loads for this one, isn't there? And yeah, the Battle of Liverpool Street, we can call it, because that's that seems to be sort of the centre point for fans of both of these clubs. Neither of them will be walking from Seven Sisters or Tottenham Hale or wherever with much of a spring in their step. I imagine they haven't really enjoyed great seasons so far, but for different reasons. Obviously, Spurs looked fantastic against Brighton, but that game just summed them up. They looked fantastic in the first half against Brighton and then proceeded to lose 3-2. Just everything that can go wrong seems to go wrong for them in just little spurts. Maddison and Son, neither of them are on international duty over this break, so hopefully there'll be a bit of freshness there for Ange. West Ham were, to be fair, hands up, absolutely superb against Ipswich. We fancied our chances going there, didn't we, Ben? And see, Ipswich conceded at the worst possible opportunity, but you've got to say that West Ham scored at the best possible opportunities 4 times. And those 4 players in attack are particularly dangerous. And I think Todibo, apologies if I haven't pronounced that name correctly, he looks a real upgrade for them there at centre-back. So maybe they're improving at the back as well. And West Ham did win their last season. I think they might have even been the first away team to win at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. So they've got reasonably good history there. I remember a mental 3-3 draw a few years ago as well, where Lanzini scored in injury time. I quite fancy this one to be entertaining as well. I'm going for Tottenham 2, West Ham 2.
I mean, I'm a bit higher on West Ham, like yourself, after last week. Maybe that's just a bit of PTSD kicking in. I do find Spurs unpredictable, but I've got to make them favourites in this one, Mikey, with the home advantage. So I'm going to shave off 1 goal from your scoreline off West Ham, and I'll go for a 2-1 win at home for Spurs. Fulham versus Aston Villa, 2 sides, actually only 2 Premier League sides I've seen in the flesh other than Ipswich this season, going up against one another. You see, I might fancy the scoring draw in this one. I don't think Villa will lose, Mikey. We can't go Desmond's all over. Let's not. I'm going to go for honours even at the Cottage. Fulham 1, Villa 1.
Okay, I am going for Villa to lose this one. I'm going for Fulham 2, Aston Villa 1. You were a little bit... You went for the boldest of bold predictions, didn't you? I think you went for Fulham to win at Manchester City. Was it 3-2, I think you went for?
Mate, they could have. If Traore could have shot straight. Yeah, sorry, carry on.
Yeah, they weren't a million miles away. I like what I'm seeing from Marco Silva, and obviously I like what I'm seeing from Unai Emery and Aston Villa as well. They're back in Champions League action next week, though, and they've had draws either side of the win against Bayern. I think there might be a little bit of rotation as well, because they've got a couple of South American players who've been away during this break. So I'm going to back Fulham to catch them cold here.
Ipswich Town versus Everton.
Yeah, Ipswich were all over the place at West Ham, and as I've already mentioned, conceded at the worst possible opportunities over again. Ipswich fans will point to the fact that we're missing Zabi. He's not going to be fit for this one either. He had a freak washing up accident, a lesson there to just get a dishwasher or leave it to somebody else, Ben, perhaps. Everton, we both predicted to draw last time out, so we were both wrong on Ipswich, but we were both near enough right with Everton. We both backed them to draw. We think that they've steadied the ship. So I should really be going for Everton to get at least a point here, but I can't bring myself to do it, Ben, because again, I'm going to this game and I really need Ipswich to win this one. So I'm going to go for a narrow 2-1 win for the Town.
Oh dear. It's just getting to that point. You know, all the people at the start of the season, they're like, oh, Ben, you're going to hate Premier League. It's rubbish. It's really hard to win and you don't win for 3 months. And I'm like, no, we've been terrible for years. We're just going to enjoy the ride. I'm starting to get stressed out by the Premier League now. So I could really, really do with a win in this one. But I don't think there's one coming, Mikey. So I'm going to play another 1-1. I think the Blue Monday team as a whole were fairly confident on this one, but I will have Ipswich going into round 10. We don't know, round 9 next week, still looking for their first victory. So I'll go 1-1. And we move on to Manchester United versus Brentford. And the bookies are going to take a shellacking if Brentford take the lead within 2 minutes of this one, aren't they? I don't think they're going to. And I think they skew better at home. So I'm actually going to back Manchester United here, Mikey. Maybe Brentford will take the lead, but Manchester United ultimately will have too much. I think it is Brentford-Ipswich is the next game. So the two teams we're just talking about matching up the following week. I'm going to go Manchester United 3, Brentford 1.
Okay, I've got a scribble here then because I've also gone for Manchester United 3, Brentford 1. I feel like that international break maybe came at a good time for Manchester United, just a chance to just relax and recalibrate a little bit. Brentford, as you say, have been dangerous in every game, but they also give up chances. So I think I'm just going to knock one goal off and I'll go for Manchester United 2, Brentford 1.
Newcastle versus Brighton. This one looks really good, mate. I think they're like 5th and 6th or 6th and 7th or something.
Yeah, it does look really good. And I think I've struggled with these two in particular this season, just found them quite difficult to predict. Newcastle, I said it about Manchester United, it was definitely a good time for the international break for Newcastle because now they've potentially got Alexander Isak and Callum Wilson back for this game, which means that Anthony Gordon can go out onto his more natural position of left wing and stay there. Brighton was so poor in the first half against Tottenham, but managed to dig themselves out of a hole. Superb in the second half. And when they click, they are really, really good. But I'm going to go for Newcastle to just edge this one. I'm going for a low-scoring 1-0 win.
So I'm going to play tactically.
Well, it would be low-scoring, wouldn't it, if it was 1-0? I don't know why I bother saying low-scoring 1-0 win.
I remember at journalism college, I got criticised by the lecturer for saying I like to socialise with friends. He's like, well, you're going to socialise with your enemies. Do you know what I mean? So, yeah, I take your point. I'm also going to back the Newcastle win, Mikey. So I may as well play for the bonus point if we're both going to do it. So let's go bold. As you've empowered me now by saying I was close with Man City and Fulham. I'll go 4-2 to Newcastle on the basis there's lots of good attacking players, and Brighton was 3-2 last week, and we think they play very, very open, and even if they're away at Newcastle. So it's a silly one, but if it comes in, I will clip it out and not say it's a silly one and make myself look smart. Newcastle 4, Brighton 2. Oh, wow. Southampton versus Leicester. Oh, I can see Leicester winning 1-0, Mike. I can see a Stevie Cooper special. I think Southampton lost at home 1-0 to Forest. Yeah, lock that in. I've defended Russ Martin to the hilt, but he's going to be in big trouble if that scoreline comes in. Saints 0, Leicester 1, which would be back-to-back wins for Leicester, which hurts me as an Ipswich fan.
Okay, this is a big game for them, and it's obviously a big game for us this week as well, Ben, because I'm going for Southampton to just edge this one 2-1 at home. This is a huge game for them, and I don't care what anyone says. This is must-win for Southampton. only 1 point on the board so far, 15 goals against. Leicester's win against Bournemouth makes their start look a little bit prettier, but they weren't fantastic for 90 minutes in that game and were maybe a little bit fortunate to hold on. But yeah, I
Great
just have a
goal.
feeling that Saints, it was a lovely goal. Yeah. But I just fancy Saints to edge this one 2-1.
And you are up first, Mikey, with the Aaron Ramsdale derby. It's Bournemouth versus Arsenal.
Very nice.
Thank you.
Yeah, as I've just mentioned, the Cherries were frustrated at Leicester. I think they created more than enough chances to have got at least a point in that game. Arsenal go to Bournemouth. You'd expect them to just be really heavy favourites. I think the season before last, they went there and won 4-0. No, sorry, 3-0. And last season, they won 4-0. But all of the players that scored in that 4-0 win last season are potentially missing for this one. So that's Ødegaard, who will be missing. And then there's Saka, Havertz, and Ben White, who are all potential misses. But they've got a bit more depth than they have in previous seasons, Arsenal. So I'm still going to back them to get the win, but it'll be a lot tighter than previous seasons. So I'm going for Bournemouth 0, Arsenal 2.
Yeah, that is my first scribble of the day. We're very heavy on Arsenal most of the time, and I just think they're very impressive. So I think my sensible way around this would be to give Bournemouth a goal because they're really good attacking side, Bournemouth, aren't they? So I'll add one on for both to your prediction and my scribble. Bournemouth 1, Arsenal 3. Oh, ouch. Wolves versus Manchester City. Someone correct me in the comments, but don't Man City always turn up to Wolves? And I mean, they do it to most teams over the last decade and win fairly easy. Are you going to tell me no?
Well, you don't need to wait for the comments, Ben, because Wolves won this fixture last season out of nowhere. They won it 2-1. I think Hwang Hee-chan scored the winner. But yeah, generally, Man City go there and roll them over, and they're not in great form, are they, Wolves?
I stand corrected in that case. Mikey is actually putting wins on the board here for Southampton, isn't he? So again, I've put my little Ipswich hat on. Surely Wolves are going to stay on 0 wins for this weekend. Let's say 2-0 or 3-0. 3-0. Wolves 0, Man City 3.
Yeah, I'm going for Wolves 1, Manchester City 4, despite the win last
Bonus
season under
point?
Gary O'Neill. Yeah, I'll go for the bonus point there. Oh, actually, no, I'll save my bonus. But yeah, can I have as many as I
Oh, no,
want?
you can have multiple. Yeah.
Yeah, okay, cool. Yeah, I just worry about Wolves at Molineux with the fans aren't really loving the playing out from the back stuff. I just wonder whether Gary O'Neill mixes it up this time and they just play a bit more direct to Strand Larsen, who looks like a decent all-round centre forward to me. So I've got Wolves scoring because Man City always seem to concede. 4-1 always seems to be a good scoreline for me and Man City.
It does. I think you might have dropped a little spoiler there for a bonus point, and I'm looking at Liverpool Chelsea and thinking I know what's coming now, Mikey.
Yeah, it's one of those where I can't work out who's going to win, so I'm just going for a ridiculous scoreline. This is probably as good as this fixture has been for a long, long time, isn't it? Like now, Chelsea seem to have got themselves together, and Liverpool are at the top of the league, quietly at the top of the league. The Reds are definitely better defensively than they have been in recent seasons, but Chelsea just can create chances against anyone. And I know I use this expression a lot. I think they'll try and create a little bit of chaos at Anfield. So I'm going for an end-to-end basketball game. Liverpool 3, Chelsea 3.
Oh, that's absolutely tremendous. I think I'm going to back Liverpool. I think the home advantage works. And even if you have got Cole Palmer and chaos, I still think Liverpool in Anfield is really, really strong this season. I've done so many 2-0s, Mike. It'd be so predictable to do it again. But are they really going to shut Palmer and Chelsea out? No, they're not, are they? I've only had 1-2-1, so I'm going to do another 2-1. There you go. We'll back Chelsea's firepower to get a goal, but Liverpool to win, which would keep them top of the table, wouldn't it? Liverpool 2, Chelsea 1. It's Forest versus Palace. I think that must be the Monday night football.
Yeah, that's the Monday night.
This stinks of Forest winning with a clean sheet, doesn't it? If they're at home and at the City ground under the lights. I always play 1-0 to Forest on City ground, so I'm not going to change the habit of a lifetime. Am I? Palace struggling, so Forest 1, Palace nil in the Doogie Friedman derby.
Very nice, very nice. I'm going Forest 1, Crystal Palace 1. Because despite Forest's great start to the season and how solid they are, especially at the City Ground, they've just been drawing their home games, and I think they lost the last one 1-0 against Fulham.
You're right,
But yeah,
actually. They've
very
got
strong.
loads of wins away, haven't they, Forest? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I think maybe there is at that stage where they found a way of playing away from home, and it isn't quite the same when they're playing at home and having more of the ball. Definitely, things are still to click at Crystal Palace, and I wonder whether this is the week when we see, after an international break, whether we see a change in formation for the first time from Glasner, and maybe he'll go for 4 at the back, just to try and unlock something a little bit different from what we've seen so far. But I think overall, Palace would probably be reasonably happy with a 1-1 draw at Forest at the moment.
There we go. That is all 10, guys. Get involved in the comments. Play along, copy, paste all those fixtures in, get your predictions in. It is 1 point for a correct outcome, 3 for a correct scoreline, and give yourself that glorious bonus point. What have we got here? Mikey's playing for 2. Wolves 1, Man City 4, and Liverpool 3, Chelsea 3. I love that Liverpool prediction. I've got Newcastle 4, Brighton 2. So get your bonus point calls in. Mikey, going to be better than last week? Not great last week, was it?
Yeah, I tell you what, we have been a little bit caught out by. There's been a few more 0-0s this season than the last season, so I basically stopped
Right.
doing any 0-0 predictions. I don't think I ever did any last season because there was just never any. Whereas this year, there seems to be a few more defensive teams sort of thrown in there that are capable of a 0-0, and neither of us have gone for one this week, so maybe
I just
that's going to
noticed
catch us
that.
out again.
Yeah. Okay, so not only get your predictions in, get your nils in. And me and Mikey will see you same time next week.